It looks awful, if I'm honest. And I'm pretty much an eternal optimist. And I've bought some rotten cars, but I'm thinking this might be the most rotten yet. If you lived in the 70s or the 80s as a kid, you probably had one of these mats. This is the actual mat that I used to have as a 2-3-year-old. That is a car which actually started the soft roader look, the precursor to the crossover and all of that stuff. That is a Talbot Matra Rancho. That's another one. And do you know what these two cars represent? They represent 2/3 of the amount of Talbot Matra Ranchos that are on the road in Great Britain right now. There's 3 of them on the road. And according to how many left, there's 6 of them sawned, which means there's 6, 7, 8, there's 9 of them in existence in the UK. Fact. That is a bigger version of the Talbot Matra Rancho. Now, it was based upon a weird Simca front-wheel drive, not four-wheel drive, front-wheel drive pickup truck. And then Matra decided to come up with this genius idea of putting cladding all around the pickup-y bit and putting a passenger compartment on the back, and even had an optional 7-seat setup. It looked the part. It, in fact, later inspired what became the Land Rover Discovery. See that silhouette? Now that it looks quite familiar, yeah, Discovery. This actual car here, the Matchbox Super King version, was my brother's. My brother was born in 77. The Matra Rancho was born in 77. And I'm absolutely certain that it sold more models than it actually sold cars, because every kid of the 80s, every man I talked to, has had one of these as a toy when they were a kid. And that's probably why I'm a bit obsessed with them. In this episode, you'll see that I bought one without seeing it because of a video that I saw of an urban explorer in a Cornish field. It was rusty, but then they all are. I'm Jonny Smith. You're watching The Late Brake Show. At less than half price of the Range Rover, but still with rugged looks and a split tailgate for outdoor pursuity stuff, Matra's engineers took the Simca 1100 pickup and made the rear body from a futuristic mix of fiberglass and polyester cladding over a steel frame, big windows and a back seat that was 10 centimetres higher than the front seats to give the passengers a sense of adventure, just like a horse-drawn stagecoach layout. It's hard to see it now, just how modern this thing looked then, but trust me, it did. And you could even order it with rear-facing seats for the children that you didn't care about. Yet underneath, this was a pure 70s Simca farm truck with longer, slightly strengthened chassis beyond the cab door. That meant the Rancho shared its torsion bar suspension with the 1100, but it was fitted with a 1442cc 80 horsepower Chrysler Alpine engine, and the chassis was there to accept this amazing cladding. The front bonnet, the wings, the doors, the windscreen of the 1100 were all used, but just covered in this plastic moulding which did nothing but accelerate the rust. Oh, but it did make it look good. It borrowed brakes from the Simca TI, a car that nerds maintain to this day was the very first hot hatchback, and it had a sump guard for rough ground protection, but it was still very front-wheel drive and slow. British versions of the car were supplied with 2 movable spotlights on top of the scuttle panel. That was to accelerate the rust, but it did make the car look more purposeful, even though you couldn't use them until the ignition was turned off. The Rancho captured the imagination of those people that wanted a Range Rover but didn't have the money. Autocar and Motor magazines were both impressed, and at 5,670 quid, the Rancho was quite expensive by 1978 standards, but the Range Rover was double the money. Unlike today, there were no other similar crossover soft road vehicles available. Special edition models like the Grand Raid and the Rancho X made more faux Dakar and all-terrain accessories. But when Peugeot sold the shares it had in Matra, it was clear the Rancho wouldn't survive much longer. And it didn't. It died in early 1984, but the Rancho had been a massive success. Only intending to make 20,000 cars, total production came to 57,792 cars. Matra's replacement for the Rancho was the Espace, which would go on to become more successful and accelerate the forthcoming MPV revolution. So I bought it completely unseen before it went on eBay because there aren't any right-hand drive Matra Ranchos. The only Ranchos you see are for sale in Belgium or France.
Look at that. What's it on? 71,000 miles on the clock. That is beautiful. Let's have a look at the space. It's funny, your voice echoes in this. That's a really unusual car, and it smells like an abandoned building. I love it. It's like a hospital. I didn't realise these were actually fiberglass, so you'd think that a few more would survive than just 6 or 7, which is a real shame because that was such an interesting car, and it still is now. What actually is that? Is it a 4x4? You know, it puts me in mind a little bit of like the Hyundai Ioniq 5, of a car that's just not really, it's sort of its own kind of thing.
Snack time, or not, because this is a part of my Matra Rancho, complete with filler still attached to it. And this was sent to me by the guy that put it on a transporter and took it up north to Yorkshire Car Restorations, where I'm going to see it for the first time. It looks a lot worse than it did in the pictures, even though I know they rot by just sitting there. They do just rot hideously. But as I said before, the pickings are so slim. You try finding a right-hand drive Matra Rancho, it's nigh on impossible. Let's take a closer look. Bloody hell.
The first thing you will spot.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I spot is the fact that that's a red painted piece of tarpaulin.
Well, that's all right. I don't mind that.
Is it?
But the biggest thing you should spot is that pallet. Now, there is a purpose for that pallet. That's to stop the middle of that car touching the floor.
Is it that bad?
It is that bad.
Bloody hell, it wasn't that bad when I bought it. I'm sure it wasn't.
Well, if I show you here, watch this. Now, this is the nice bit. You'll love this. Right, your door drops.
Yes, it does.
That's not the biggest part. But...
oh my gosh. Right, so there isn't an A-pillar anymore.
No, and it can, if you see your dashboard on the inside as well.
I'm just seeing the whole gap widening, and gosh,
That's because there's no structure left at all. And if that pallet wasn't there, the centre of the car nearly touches the ground. So basically, your car just bent in half.
Yeah.
Luckily, from here back, the majority is fairly solid because most of it is fiberglass.
And it's simple because it's a pickup.
It is, yeah. Yeah, very simple. But the rest of the car...
I mean, these were... There's a reason why there's about 4.5 of these left in the UK. And
is this the half?
Well, it wasn't supposed to be. I'd given up looking for right-hand drive ones.
Yeah.
Because the only ones that are left are in France, left-hand drive.
Wow.
But this came up, and before it was even advertised, I was like, okay, I'll just buy it. But it had been in a field in Cornwall. And I've just noticed from the tax disc in 1999, it was in Doncaster.
Wow, that is just down the road.
Far from
yeah,
here.
that is just down the road.
But the guy in Cornwall bought it from a guy in Scotland. So this bloody car
He's been
has
all
gone all around
over
the
country.
UK, probably on a trailer.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Probably not under its own steam.
Yeah, I don't think it's driven that far. I don't think it could now.
So this is definitely detached.
Yeah. There's, well, if you kind of look underneath here, there's no structure at all left. It's all gone. And if we show you under this kind of like this wing,
the remains of.
Yeah. This here.
So the bonnet's not attached. Oh, the bonnets are forward facing.
Yeah. This here is actually the protection, the rubberized protection that goes over the the metal.
That's not even metal.
No, that's actually just the rubberized protection. So there's literally nothing. All the way down here, look, it's all gone.
So the wing is
Everything.
bolted to nothing.
Yeah, it's just floating.
Shiitake mushrooms.
So there's, I mean, if you look
These
down
are,
there,
I mean, you are, for just to clarify, these guys are used to working on old Mazdas from the 70s, which used to rot if you stared at them too much or cried on them with salty tears. This appears to be in a new league of...
It is in its own league. I think this is going back to Earth, this one. This is decomposing from the front backwards.
Right. Well, we'd said originally on our WhatsApps and phone calls, we were going to make a decision. Do we restore it, depending on its condition, or do we do something else with it? This is now confirmed.
I do think we need to do something else with it. I think this is well beyond restoration. For us to restore this, we would we would probably need another car.
Yeah, which I can't find because of the reasons which I've just told you about.
That's it, yeah.
So, okay.
So I think other options, we do have a good car, 99% of it anyway, from there backwards.
Yes.
There is still a lot of work on the floor,
yeah.
but most of this is fiberglass, so we can use it. You'll even see the inside of the structure here is all still good. We have lost all the front end, so that does need rebuilding, but it does need something else doing with it as opposed to restoring it, unfortunately.
Yes. Okay. They were two-wheel drive. They were a two-wheel drive pickup, so they weren't the final word in refinement or speed or off-road capability. We have an idea though. So now you know how rotten my car is, you'll know also that I did a bit of research on wheelbases, because, you know, I'm such an interesting guy. And I noticed that the wheelbase of the Matra Rancho is identical to the millimetre with the Subaru Impreza WRX. .2520 millimeters. This crucial measurement from front wheel centre to rear wheel centre on this being the same measurement from front wheel centre to rear wheel centre on this means we are potentially staring at the most appropriate body swap in car kingdom. That means Rancho Turbo all-wheel drive. There is method to this absolute madness, and it's from late nights of sitting on the internet and going on various forums and looking at wheelbases. Which
thankfully you've done all those measurements.
I've done that because I enjoy the research. So the distance between this wheel and this wheel is millimetre identical to a Matra Rancho. Would you believe it? And this, of course, it doesn't need any introduction, even though when it's looking hanging like this, Subaru Impreza WRX. So in other words, if you close your eyes and imagine it, you could turn a Rancho into the genuine 4x4 with a bit of grunt that it maybe always wanted to be.
Yeah, yeah.
It predates the Discovery, remember?
It does, it does.
And the Discovery was modelled on that car pretty much. So maybe it's going to be even better than the Discovery. Certainly more
definitely
fun.
better.
More fun.
Yeah, you got. It's quicker.
Yeah. and thus, I guess, Steve, by doing this, the theory is that the structure in this car.
That's it. Yeah.
Is going to live under that.
It is. Well, what we'll probably do is we'll use the base of this car with all the chassis.
Yeah.
We'll use all the bulkhead, all the structure underneath the dashboard.
Yeah.
And we'll use all this front end. We'll keep all that intact. So basically, your car will be from here all the way down there
Yep.
all the way to the back, round there, and on top of it, we're going to put a Rancho.
And all of this stays Subaru.
That all stays.
All this stays Subaru.
Yep.
All this stays Subaru.
That stays Subaru.
All that under here stays Subaru.
Yep.
Bit rear axle.
I mean,
floor.
bear in mind, that's going to give this car, I mean, this car, it was a parts car, wasn't it? This was a donor car.
Yes.
I mean, there's been a lot of rust cut out of here, so there's still a lot of work to do on this car. We've got to look at where the floor's going to end as well.
Yeah.
Because I know we have a chassis from here, raises back up again.
Yeah.
You've got your chassis low.
And your wheel well in a wheel
yeah,
well.
that's it. And then your chassis comes up onto your boot floor here. So I've got to look at what we do with the Rancho there. So if you, with your 7 seats,
Yeah.
you might be restricted to where they are just because of the chassis of this. You might be able to put one set of seats in. We might not be able to get the other set of seats in.
Okay.
So, yeah, but we'll know that when we come to, well, when we cut all this apart.
Yeah.
There's no boot inside there. The boot floor is absolutely gone.
Yeah.
But the chassis and the structure of this car are really, really good. So rather than destine this car to the scrapyard, minus all its parts, because they're going back to
Scooby Clinic.
Yeah. They're going all back to be reused. This car is going to get a new lease of life, as is the Rancho,
which definitely no one else is going to restore.
That's it, yeah. Well, I mean, both these cars would be taken off the road, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they would.
Whereas with both these cars, we're going to put one of them, well, we're going to put both of them in one guise back on the road.
I'd say the best parts of both. the aesthetics of the Rancho, which is still loads of people's favourite toy when they were growing up.
That's it, yeah. Everybody had a Matchbox one, didn't they?
And the pedigree, the rally pedigree of one of these, and I must repeat, this car was a donor car. This was from the yard of Scooby Clinic. I did do a video on the 22B replicas that Scooby Clinic do, and I phoned them up and said, I don't suppose you've got a WRX donor? They went, we have actually. If you give us the doors and other panels back after you've finished, and we can refresh the engine because the head gasket's gone. So basically it is going to be a running, driving Subaru WRX.
Will that make this Rancho the fastest, best handling Rancho on the road?
But that's not going to be difficult. You'll safely cover that. You'll safely, but yeah, but also because these are still rallied, you can lift the suspension for different rally courses and stuff. There's so many aftermarket suspension parts, you can actually make it sit quite high. So with some off-roady type tyres, I think it will be incredible. Some
nice big fat chunky ones.
Yeah.
But
obviously that's all just waxing lyrical. The real hard work is to come.
Yeah. That's, I think, like I say, with the structure being intact and the back end of that being intact, there is still a lot of work we have to do to try and get the front end.
It's the front, isn't it?
Yeah. Trying to get that stitched onto here. I think the rest of it won't be too bad.
Yeah.
But again, you've got seats for it as well, haven't you? You've got back seats for it. You've got a few new panels as well.
I've found some panels.
Yeah. We may have to modify things like the front wings, the bonnet, if there's a length difference and the front end and everything like that. But again, that's purely cosmetics. The hard work is actually cutting this off and then putting the Rancho on there. The rest of it, that's nice and easy.
They were wheelbase buddies. They just didn't know it. Well, while I'm here at Yorkshire Car Restoration, I'm going to have a quick nose round because there's numerous projects on the go from various YouTubers and the like. So we've got an Audi UR Quattro, E24 BMW 6 Series, an absolute unicorn, Mazda Cosmo 110S. This is a Volkswagen K70, a lesser known, very rare but nobody cares Volkswagen that was kind of around the time when they were trying to go from air-cooled to water-cooled. But this is relevant to the Rancho project because this particular car has had a complete body swap. The K70 body is now on a Passat W8 floor pan with full drivetrain and everything. So that is akin to what we're going to be doing with the Matra Rancho. Steve from Yorkshire Car Restorations is an absolutely hopeless Mazda rotary addict. First generation RX-7. This is an RX-4, I think. I've just remembered I actually did a barn find of one of these several years ago. First generation RX-7s, and we got it to fire up against odds. Have a look at that on screen. I'll put a clip on screen because that was a lot of fun that day. I'd love to do another RX-7 barn find. Maybe this one will be in a few years. I'm pretty sure that Type 25 VW there is Alex Kirsten's from Auto Alex. So this is a Datsun 240 or 260 Z, signed by lots of people at probably one of the events that the guys have been to. This is a racing Puma, in for some bodywork repair. Another RX-7, this time FD, such a good looking car. And as I said, Steve's got the disease big time. We've got back here Mazda RX-3, which I think is the real rarity, apart from the Cosmo Mazda. And then over there, there's another RX-4, I think. Oh, that's an RX-4 there. And that's an Integrale. And that orange thing, you might remember that. Oh, look at this. Because that orange BMW, I'll shimmy round here, was featured in a previous barn find in Wales on the Welsh coast. This is Gore's E9 Coupe, which they are working on here and there, trying to find the panels. That car will be on the road again. Another early rotary Mazda. There's the front end of that RX-4. And there's the front end of the Integrale, which has had some terrible DIY welding done on it and the doors won't shut anymore. So that's in for basically unpicking a load of old work and being rejigged and refabricated. That there is a Fiat 131 Sport, I think Mirror Fury Sport. I've actually got a barn find of one of those to do soon. I'm really looking forward to it because that's a very, very rare car indeed that loves to rot. Even was rotten before it was on sale. That is a Hillman Imp Californian, I think, or a Sunbeam Stiletto. The fastbacked Hillman Imp, lovely, lovely thing. BMW E30 M3. The faux Lamborghini Countach, which is owned by Ryan here at Yorkshire Car Restoration. It's a Porsche Targa that's in for some modification and a repaint. A Ferrari F40 Bitzer, owned by a certain YouTuber called Rarest. Well done on this project. This is both ambitious and glorious. Can't wait to see how that comes together. That is a real F40 drivetrain, apparently. Bloody hell, rather you than me. And as we go around the back, Shah, there's the Disaster Datsun, which if you're familiar with their channel, you will know all about. That is an Alpha Sud, which used to love to rot when it was new. I have one of those, they're great, love them. That's an Escort RS2000 that's on the spit. This is another early Mazda. There's the front end of that absolutely stunning Mazda Cosmo. And there's the back of the Quattro. Underneath there is a certain E24 6 Series, not that one, a white one. And some guy who just does the odd video about cars called Matt Armstrong, that's his. And this E30 that's upside down on the other rotisserie, it's a 325i. My friend Colin Furze, that's his car. You might remember a long time ago, around about the coronavirus era, I did a video with Colin Furze because he's my neighbour and a mate of mine. And we did an idle chat with him. It was good fun. I'll put that on screen now because you might not remember it. I've always fancied a chassis swap.
Yeah.
I've read a lot about chassis swaps, and I know your that K70 in there, that's a chassis swap.
Yep, that's a chassis swap.
But sometimes I think they work, sometimes I'm like, why did you do that? I don't know, I feel like this, when I saw that wheelbase, and I triple checked it, and I've even got a brochure in the car, and I went through it and went, oh my gosh, it's got to be done.
It was meant to be.
That car should have been four-wheel drive, and it never was. These things, I love driving Imprezas. They drive so nice, they're so capable. And there's plenty of broken ones about.
And it's going to give life to this one.
Yeah, it is.
And life to that one again.
Well, it's upcycling, basically.
Yeah, that's it. We're recycling cars.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest challenges is going to be getting the dashboard in as well and making it look like it should fit, because you've got a lot of structure underneath here.
Yes.
You've got a big dash crash panel there, And if you look at your dashboard, it doesn't go very far back.
No, because it's an old car with a more upright
that's
A-pillar.
it. Yeah, that's the one.
The dashboards
so
are shallow.
you've got all those challenges. So you might have to cut all them out, restructure them, push them further back, so that your dash fits in and looks and is in the right position when you're seating as well. So there's all them things to think about.
Because you're going to use the Impreza, obviously column and everything.
We're basically going to use straight down there. We're going to use all that front end section. To the bottom of the doors.
All that.
Round to the boot.
So everything here that's missing on that car. We use on this
which
car.
is missing,
and all this in a wing and.
We're going to be using this for it.
Which is fantastic, because this is solid where it counts.
That's it. This is solid where it counts.
Also, nobody ever bought a Rancho because they loved the 1.4 really tappety, gutless engine, whereas this is slightly different and more impressive, the flat 4 turbo. But I suppose it's like you're saying, looking at this structure, or what should be on the front.
This is everything that counts.
And making sure that all this stuff can stay underneath the original bonnet and underneath the original wings.
Like I say, we might have to extend the wings if it's deeper. We might have to lengthen them if it's a little bit longer.
If it's a bit more nose. Right.
But that's fairly easy stuff, from actually chopping everything out and getting it sitting right on this frame, so it looks like it should be there. And looking kind of like a sleeper.
Oh, it has to be.
A little bit of a sleeper.
Has to be. I'm all about the sleepers. So this concludes part 1 of my Matra Rancho project, which is now going to be body swapped with a Subaru WRX. So it's a Matra Rancho WRX. Yorkshire Car Restorations are going to be immersing themselves in this shortly. They're going to be taking it on and managing it, because I'm going to be focusing much of my effort on finishing my Allegro Type R project. No, I shouldn't have taken on another thing, but these guys are really ambitious, and this is different. This is a body swap. This is going to be on their channel, but also on mine, but mostly step by step on Yorkshire Car Restoration's channel. Be sure to check that out. And if you want to look at my other project cars, I'll put a playlist on the screen around about now. Like and subscribe.